Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. The news is also live on Kesmi 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Ghana hunts for new Black Stars coach after Otto Addo was sacked following an impressive run in preparatory matches ahead of the World Cup. Also on the program this afternoon, President John Mahama assents to 5 new bills into law, including the Security and Intelligence Agencies Act, which abolishes the office of the Minister for National Security. And much later on the program, Roads Minister hits the road to inspect big push contracts as President John Mahama demands response from him over sole source contract for the flagship project.
And power access to where the countries will be, because somebody else is deploying the e-code.
We'll bring you more of these in the next few minutes. For joining us this afternoon. The Media Foundation for West Africa has commended President John Mahama's directive to his office to obtain the full detailed report of the Fourth Estate on its investigations into the Big Push contract for study, with a firm instruction to the Ministry of Roads and Highways to equally present its response to the allegations for onward action. The President gave the directive last night during a meeting with civil society organizations at the Jubilee House.
I note the recent expose by the Fourth Estate on procurement processes related to the award of contracts under the Big Push program. While sole sourcing is legal under certain circumstances, under our current procurement law, would all agree that open, transparent tenders are always preferable for achieving competitive pricing and value for money. Although we've seen snippets of the investigation from the media, I've instructed my office to obtain the full detailed report from the Fourth Estate and to conduct a study of the various allegations presented in the report. We're also requesting the Ministry of Roads and Highways to present a detailed response to those allegations made therein in order to inform government's action on the matter.
And you heard President John Mahama during his interaction with some civil society groups last night. Now, a senior program officer at the Media Foundation for West Africa, Kweku Krobi Asante, has welcomed the directive, describing it as refreshing.
This has come as a very welcoming call and quite refreshing, especially given the back and forth that we're experiencing with some of the appointees, some assigns of the government who had come at us, calling us so many names here and there. We find it refreshing that the president, having listened to snipers, as he puts it, sees the substance in the argument, sees how the light it puts his government, the double standards, the outright hypocrisy, the concerns about capacity of those organizations, and the concerns about whether we are going to get value for money in the construction of these roads. And so we really welcome the president's call, and we are going to abide by it. But we must emphasize that we're going to keep our eyes on the ball, monitor the situation, and whatever comes out of it, will be advised accordingly. Competitive tendering should be the norm. We should open it up, let the public see, let capable hands come to the board, come with their quotes, let us discuss, pick the best option for the country, and let's proceed from there. It should never be, the norm that sole sourcing, single sourcing is being attended to.
And you have a senior program officer at the Media Foundation for West Africa responding to President John Mahama's directive to his office to go into the investigation that he published into the sole sourcing, as it were, agreement of the roads ministry with other contractors under the Big Push agenda. We're joined by Beatrice Adu. He's an anti-graft campaigner. He joins us live on the phone. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Adu. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
How significant would you say President John Mahama's directive is in strengthening accountability, especially when it involves both the fourth estate report and a government response?
Well, I think it is significant, except that the contracts have already been awarded and work has started. So the outcome of any investigation is not likely to lead to a reversal of the situation, because you've signed contracts with contractors that have already put money into the project. But at least it's significant in the sense that it should be able to prevent future malpractices or abuses of the procurement process by any government appointee.
Now, having said that, though, what mechanism should be put in place to ensure that the Ministry of Roads and Highways response is transparent, credible, and not merely a defensive exercise like a number of Ghanaians would expect?
Well, I think the Public Procurement Act has put in place mechanisms to ensure that these things do not happen. But they still happen. So it now requires public awareness and the work of the civil society and the media to continuously monitor how contracts are awarded and to report on them so that the president's attention will be drawn to these things. Some of these things may happen with the president's knowledge, but there are others that may not happen with his knowledge. It is possible that he's probably aware of some of them, but maybe not all. And he cannot continue to monitor everywhere and know what's happening. And so the role of civil society, the role of the media is very important in these things. But of course, we also have state agencies that are supposed to ensure that these things do not happen. The Public Procurement Authority that gives the approval for some of these things. Then you have the Internal Audit Authority that is supposed to verify certain expenditures before they are allowed. Then, of course, finally we have the Auditor General. Of course, that one comes after the act. So there are mechanisms in place, but people still continue to abuse them.
Now, one of the things we heard the president say last night was to ensure that we fast-track the process of setting up the Office for Value for Money. To what extent do you think this could help deal with some of these issues?
You see, we have a number of laws in this country. We have a number of state institutions that are supposed to curb corruption and some of these issues. But it still happens. And the more institutions you set up, the more money we put into them. And so I personally do not think that we need that office, because we have enough structures in place to prevent such acts, but it still happens. So it is the monitoring evaluation, it is the action on any malpractices that take place by the executive, by the president, that should prevent these things. And also, the most important thing about reforming the procurement process is to look at the appointment of the executive director and the top management. It should not be left with the president alone to appoint. Because when the president is appointed, it's more or less implied that the party in power is involved. And that makes it such that they look for people who are politically affiliated to the ruling party, or one way or the other have some contact and influence with the leaders. And that is one of the serious problems that we encounter.
Very briefly, Mr. Azim, before you go, sole sourcing is legal in our laws, but it depends on the circumstances. Should, these allegations be proven that indeed there were corruption or procurement breaches, what action should follow?
Well, the Public Procurement Act provides some actions that should be taken where there are infractions of the act. If it is involving the contractors, blacklisting is one of the things. But if it involves public officers, there are sanctions that can be imposed on the officers that are involved.
All right, I wanted to hear. Thank you very much, Beatrice Adu. He is an anti-corruption campaigner. We still stay on the government because the Minister for Roads and Highways is directing contractors on new road construction projects to work closely with the Ghana Highways Authority to ensure their designs are compatible with an electronic toll system which a third party is set to design. The directive aims to guarantee a seamless synergy between road infrastructure and the tolling technology from the outset. This is part of the current government's broader policy to deploy electronic tolling across all newly constructed roads in the country. With the government expenditure on road infrastructure running high, the minister says that toll revenue is critical to generating funds that can be channeled into other road projects across Ghana. Let's quickly speak to Deborah Mensah, who is joining us live from the location with the minister. Deborah, where are you currently, and has there been any word from the roads minister yet?
Okay, Beatrice, so we are currently at Afienya in the Greater Accra region, and the minister has been speaking to the contractors working on these major routes, that is the Dodowa, Dowenya, Afienya, Tema, Aplawo route. And his message has been clear to the contractors that they have a deadline to meet, which is August 2027. And when you look at all the places we visited, we are working, we can see some progress in their work. But he also told the contractors that they should make sure that there is a synergy between them and the Ghana Highway Authority, because they want to introduce the electronic toll system. So they should make their design and plan in such a way that it won't become a challenge that they finish constructing these roads and we now have to, face another hurdle in trying to fix in the new digital system. So he has been speaking on that.
What we are going to provide is to provide data and power access to where the countries will be, because somebody else is deploying the e-tolling. So I think it's very important for the consultant and yourselves to work with highways currently to make sure that there's easy synergy between what you are doing and what will come by a third party at the concessionaire on the motorway, because we are almost close to selecting concessionaire, and that will start interfacing with you to make sure that it goes seamlessly. So I think it's very important for you to take that into consideration. And you are right, the investment on this road is almost $350 million. This is public money. Other people are waiting for their fair share of roads. So when we spend here, we should be able to generate some revenue to extend to other people. Otherwise, the story about us spending almost 70% of our road budget on only the big cities is not fair. We need to create some equity in terms of the way we do things. So the good thing is that the public is very much aware and is happy for the reintroduction of the e-tolling.
And you had the roads minister, Kwame Gavins Abuja. Deborah Mensah, hopefully still on the line with us. Debbie, was there any response from the contractors?
Okay, so they are also working on the roads, and when we got to the Tema Aplawo road, the minister expressed dissatisfaction with the construction. I remember a year now, yes, exactly a year now, in March 2025, we visited the Tema Aplawo road, and he expressed the same dissatisfaction with the construction being done by BHM. And the road is still like that. No encouraging improvements have been done on the road. So he has expressed satisfaction. But the contractor there is saying that financial clearance was made somewhere in April So they are also trying to do their best to meet the deadline, which is next year, August 2023.
Absolutely nothing going on here. This is unacceptable. This is not what we signed up for. You know, absolutely. Everybody can see. Anybody, the media is with that. You can't even see one truck here with BHM or one excavator with BHM on it. So what is going on?
Honorable, I think I need to explain myself.
Yes. Yes.
Money hit our accounts on Wednesday. Today is Tuesday.
Yes.
We paid our subcontractor on Friday. Already they are on site. If you get to Covert E, they are currently...
And it has some contractors interacting with the Roads Minister Kwame Gavin-Sagboja as he inspects some road project under the big push. Now, earlier you heard our reporter as well, Deborah Benson, who is currently with the minister as he tours. Now, the Ghana Football Association has sacked Black Stars head coach Otto Addo with immediate effect following a string of poor results in recent international friendlies. The decision comes after Ghana suffered back-to-back defeats to Austria and Germany, extending the coach's losing streak to 4 consecutive matches. Addo's dismissal comes at a critical time with the senior national team preparing for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, which will be hosted by the United States, Canada and Mexico. Ghana has been drawn in a tough group alongside Panama, England and Croatia. Meanwhile, Minister for Sport and Recreation Kofi Adams has acknowledged that Ghana is not yet fully prepared for the tournament, but assured that structures are being put in place to ensure readiness. The Ghana Football Association is expected to announce an interim technical team or a new head coach in the coming days as the Black Stars intensify preparations for the tournament. And Bill Shen is with our spokesperson. He joins us live in the studio. Bill, the news that a lot of people were expecting, really, because I mean, Otto Addo has come under great criticism over the past months, but really, what got the GFA to make this decision after what some say was at least an improved performance?
Looking, even though it was an improved performance against Germany, Otto Addo did not do himself many favors with the kind of record that he had. In the second stint, he's managed 22 matches. He's recorded 8 victories. He's recorded 9 defeats. That means he's recorded more defeats than he's actually recorded victories, which is not a good look. And in the past 4 friendlies that he's played, he's lost all of them. He lost to Japan, he lost to South Korea, he lost woefully to Austria, and he's now lost to Germany. It's not a good look for a team that is preparing for the 2026 World Cup, especially with the kind of group that Ghana is in alongside England, Croatia, and also Panama. Very tough group. And so the results are not looking good. The football has not been as encouraging as you would expect. And so it has come to the point where the GFA has decided to, crack their whip and then sack Otto Addo. Although the timing, of course, would be definitely under question because it's 72 days before the start of the World Cup. And so whoever would come in on the interim will have a very, very tough job to get the Black Stars not just playing well, but actually getting results in a competition as big as the World Cup.
And there are people who say that his commentary, one press conference he held where he couldn't really figure out what worked for the Black Stars could have really influenced this eventual decision.
Yeah, and it will be understandable because for every coach in a top level, there's always the understanding that you have your identity. There are basic principles for your game that would not change. But definitely you'd have to tweak some things for your opponent. But you definitely have your basic principles. He seems to come across as someone who does not have that. And that is very worrying, especially for a coach who is managing a team as big as the Black Stars. Mind you, even though the Black Stars are not performing well, they are still a very big franchise. And any coach who comes into it is expected to know his stuff, is expected to have an identity, is expected to have his own style and his own imprint. But it's not something that we've seen with Otto Addo in the past 2 years, especially in the second stint. And so that has been, I believe it was a very key factor not just the defeats, but his utterances as well in the press conference.
And my last question before you take leave of us, really, what next for the team and the search for a new coach? I think we roughly have a game or two ahead of the World Cup, right?
Yeah, there's the Mexico friendly, and then there's the Wales. But the Mexico friendly, according to the kind of wording that the GFA put on their website, it will be more or less mixed with a number of local players, and you would expect to see fringes, even those outside, not really the starters that you would want to see at the World Cup. And so realistically, the interim coach would have one game which will be against Wales and one other possible game which will be decided in due course. So he doesn't have as much when it comes to preparations ahead of the World Cup. And in terms of the names that have been thrown around, I've seen Kwesi Appiah's name thrown around. He's managed the Black Stars before. I've seen that of Desmond Ofer, who is the current assistant coach of the Black Stars. I've seen Tom Saintfield's name also thrown around. So these are interesting names that GFA would have to look at and then make a decision on.
Bill, thank you so much for bringing us the latest on this. Billy Shan is with our sports desk. We return to issues relating to roads because work is progressing steadily on the upgrade of the Todome Gemini Road in the South Dine district of the Volta region, bringing relief to motorists and residents in the communities along the stretch. The 24.7 kilometer stretch, which is being undertaken by Sanam GH Limited, is expected to be completed in October 2027. Faisal Abdul Idrisu has more in the following report.
The Todome Gemini Road is considered a critical economic road given that Gemini serves as a major trading center in the Volta region. The road also serves as a major link between communities such as Peibome, Chate, Tokpalime, Tongo, among others, who serve as the district's food bucket. But for a long time, the stretch had become increasingly unmotorable, impacting the movement of people and economic activities.
First, the road is no good at all. So if we take our goods like cassava, maize, pepper to Gemini, the road is no good. So when the driver takes us to Gemini, they take a lot of money with us. So when we reach Gemini, the goods we sell, we don't get plenty money.
The road no good. If you rain, we suffer. It make our business self can only move one way.
But under government's Big Push initiative, construction works began on the 24.7 kilometer road in October last year.
About 4 years or 3 years now, the road is not good for us. But this year, we are okay with the road now. Our motor, they are moving well. We don't have any effect on our motor now. Everything's on the road now. So we like the way they are doing the road. But just that the runabout here is not good for us. Today we nearly get an accident here. So they should watch the runabout for us. If they are doing correct work, they should have patience for our work so that the road can last for us for a long time.
So they need to go Parliament to Germany and Germany Town was early October that we started this project. So when we came, the road was terrible. But now if you look at the condition of the road, it's far better than what we met. Even the project, we intend to complete it ahead of schedule.
DC for South Encourage Kwame Kukuruku says the Assembly is keenly monitoring the progress of work to ensure timely and quality execution of the project, despite the commendable progress made so far.
We have a duty to monitor whatever projects come to our district. On a weekly basis, we visit the construction site. We tour the road to see whatever is happening. If there's any challenge that we can help as a district, we do that. We also look at quality of work that is being done, myself and my engineers. Our people are happy. They are only waiting for the completion of the project.
This stretch has seen a considerable improvement since work commenced on it in October 2025. When completed, it will ease the movement of people, goods and services, and also reduce travel time and transportation costs for both motorists and traders.
Faisal Abdul Idrisu found that report for us from the Volta region. President John Mahama has called for patience and respect for due process in the ongoing extradition case involving former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. Speaking during a meeting with civil society organizations at the Jubilee House, the president emphasized that the matter is currently under the jurisdiction of the United States judiciary, making it beyond Ghana's direct control.
I cannot comment on the extradition of our former finance minister, because it's in a different jurisdiction and I have no control of it. All I know is that Ghana has put in an extradition request, and so we just have to be patient for the laws to play out in that jurisdiction, and whatever the eventual decision is, we cannot change it because it's not within our jurisdiction, and so we just have to be patient and see what happens. But I know there are two parallel issues. One is the extradition request by Ghana, and the other one is the immigration issue. The arrest was made by ICE for violating immigration status. But then also there's the additional issue of the extradition. But like I said, it's all in the hands of the American judiciary, and it's not within our effort to influence that. And so let's just leave it and see what comes out of it.
President John Mahama there. The Minister for the Interior, Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak, says the ministry is exploring public-private partnership arrangement as a strategic option to address the infrastructural deficit facing the country's security agencies. Appearing before the Public Accounts Committee, the minister said that the move is aimed at mobilizing private sector investment to support the development and modernization of critical facilities for agencies such as the Police Service, Ghana National Fire Service, Immigration Service and the Prison Service.
We are already currently having a number of PPP. What we notice is that most of our business people do not want to come and meet an uncompleted project and say that, they should complete it for something in exchange. What they normally prefer is that we have a land, let's say, currently we have a PPP that is going on with police, prisons, fire. It's only immigration who do not have enough land. But prisons, if you go around Cantonment, around the headquarters, you see some building coming up. You have, let's say, 10-acre plot or land, even with some infrastructure there, let's say the accommodation, someone comes in with a very good proposal. Can you give me half of the land? I'll build 3, 4, 5-story to accommodate more than the offices that you are currently, accommodating on the whole of the 10 acres. And then in exchange, for ABCD, and a number of that is already going on. One of the challenges that we are having is that if, for example, you go to the Tesano, we have these magnificent buildings for the police. Some of them very strategic. They are uncompleted. If you ask someone to come to complete the uncompleted buildings, they are not interested. But
it means what you are putting on the table is not attractive enough, so maybe you should look at that too.
Well, you are right, because, for example, most of the land that we have in Accra are being occupied by officers. But I can assure you that we are equally interested in getting this thing done, and we'll definitely look at how we can include these uncompleted buildings as part of the land swap arrangement that we currently have.
The minister further urged metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies to commit resources toward the construction of police stations across their jurisdictions to deal with situations where police facilities become target of vandalism during riots and civil disturbances.
If you call my colleague, the Honorable Ahmed, I've started that discussion with him. And I've told them that, look, sometimes we try to make the police and the security service look as if they don't belong to the community. So in fact, one of the things the current Inspector General of Police is trying to encourage is that you come and say, oh, can you come and build police station for us? And say, no, build it yourself. Because one of the things that we notice during riots, the communities, if they build it themselves, they don't burn them. They usually go and burn the one that government came to build. I don't know, for whatever reason, they think that if it is built by central government, it doesn't belong to them. But if they did communal labor or they use their common fund to do it, that one day it belongs to them. So currently, one of the strategies of the Inspector General of Police is that you want police stations, sometimes I minute to him, can we assist and do it? Say, sir, can we get them to build it themselves? Then we'll send the personnel so that they will own it. So in line with that, I think it's a very laudable idea. We'll engage the Disassembled Common Fund Administrator together with the local government minister to encourage the MMDCs. In fact, in my reading as the last time I met the MMDC, I was telling them same. I said, why is it that you just think that after the security agencies, they don't belong to you?
And you heard there the Minister for the Interior, Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak. that's it for the Midday News here on 3FM 92.7. Log on to 3news.com for more news. Coming up next is Business Daily with Bismarck Awusa.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Business Daily on 3FM 92.7. Coming up, sharp fuel price surge looms from April 1 as petrol, diesel and LPG set for significant increases across Ghana. Also ahead, Standard & Poor's warns of potential downgrade pressure on Ghana's credit rating. We will tell you why. Plus, government remains firmly on track to achieve its 8.6-month import cover as international reserves steadily rise.
Gross international reserves has risen to $14.5 billion, equivalent to 5.8 months of import cover as of March this year, up from $13.8 billion at the end of December 2025.
I am Bismarck Awusa. We'll bring you details of our headlines and other stories shortly. Please stay. Thanks for your company. Now to the details. Fuel prices are set to rise sharply from April 1, 2026, with petrol and diesel expected to surge at the pumps. According to the latest outlook report by the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, COMAC, a litre of petrol could increase by 8.06% to about 15 cedis 19 pesos. Diesel is also projected to go up by 9.76%, pushing the price to around 17 cedis 85 pesos per litre. Liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, is expected to see a marginal rise, with a litre likely to sell at about 16 cedis 59 pesos. This will mark the fifth projected increase in fuel prices since January 2026 and the second time this year that consumers are experiencing such a steep hike. You will be following this development and bring you updates as and when we have them. Moving on, Standard & Poor's S&P Global Ratings has affirmed Ghana's long and short-term foreign and local currency sovereign credit ratings at B-, maintaining a stable outlook. The decision reflects a precarious balance between the country's tangible post-default economic recovery and persistent risks that could still trigger a downgrade in the next 12 to 18 months. There is more in the following three Business News Desk reports. S&P Global Ratings has affirmed Ghana's sovereign credit rating, acknowledging the significant strides the country has made in fiscal consolidation and macroeconomic stability since the 2022 debt crisis. However, the agency has delivered a clear warning. The current stable rating is conditional and fragile. S&P identifies three primary downside risks that could destabilize Ghana's credit profile over the next 12 to 18 months. First, any stall in fiscal reform, which could lead to wider budget deficits, threatens the government's ability to refinance maturing debt. Second, the economy remains highly sensitive to global market dynamics. A decline in export volumes or a drop in global prices for key commodities like gold and cocoa could weigh heavily on the balance of payments. Finally, the debt restructuring process, while nearing its end, is not yet risk-free. Potential disputes among credit groups under the G20 Common Framework could still trigger negative rating actions. This assessment arrives at a critical juncture with the $3 billion IMF Extended Credit Facility Program set to expire on May 31, 2026. The responsibility for fiscal discipline shifts entirely to national policy frameworks. While Ghana has introduced new fiscal rules and an independent fiscal council, SNP notes these measures remain untested through electoral cycles. Despite these hurdles, the affirmation highlights a stronger foundation supported by a current account surplus and a cautious return to capital markets. For now, Ghana's economic recovery remains on the right track, provided the momentum holds. And that was a 3 Business News Desk report on S&P warning of potential downgrade pressure on Ghana's credit rating. Moving on, the finance minister says that the country's import cover has risen to 5.8 months as of March this year. The ministry says government is on track to meet its target of 8.6 months of import cover.
Ghana's reserves had fallen to about 1.5 months of import cover in 2023, according to the World Bank, raising concerns about the country's ability to sustain imports. But recent data suggests a strong recovery in external buffers. Speaking at the Mervyn Pick-Accra Business Forum on behalf of the minister, the Deputy Finance Minister said import cover has increased by around 60% compared to last year.
Gross international reserves has risen to $14.5 billion, equivalent to 5.8 months of import cover as of March this year, up from $13.8 billion at the end of December 2025. It is worth noting that by the end of December 2024, the gross international reserves was approximately $8.9 billion, covering 3.9 months of import cover. So in just over a year, Ghana's reserves have surged by over 60%.
Meanwhile, Cabinet has approved the Ghana Accelerated National Reserve Accumulation Policy aimed at strengthening the country's resilience to external shocks. The Finance Minister says efforts are underway to ensure targets under the program are achieved.
The program is to build an economic war chest to protect the economy against future shocks by raising gross international reserves to the equivalent of 8.6 months of import cover by the end of this year and 15 months of import cover by the end of 2028. This is an economy regaining balance. This is an economy back on its feet, rebuilding strength and preparing to run.
The forum brought together policymakers and business leaders to discuss Ghana's economic outlook and investment climate. Organizers say the platform is intended to drive policy dialogue and support long-term economic stability.
And that was a report on government remaining firmly on track to achieve its 8.6-month import cover target as international reserves steadily rise. This is still Business Daily on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa. Before we go, Executive Director of the Center for Extractives and Development Africa, CEDA, Samuel Bekoin, has proposed a strategic review of the Minerals Income Investment Fund, MIF, to expand its investment mandate beyond the extractive sector. Speaking on the long-term sustainability of Ghana's mineral wealth, Bekoin argued that while MIF has made significant strides in managing gold royalties and supporting local mining firms, the fund's future resilience depends on its ability to diversify into other high-growth areas of the economy.
The whole setup, I thought, would have been something that we could have thought through to say that let's set up a MIF that would invest away from the mining sector, because the mineral royalties we are receiving, we are putting most of them into consumption. And so even if we were to, what GIF was set up to do, then we know that it's focused on infrastructure. We could decide to focus that infrastructure beyond Ghana. We could decide to invest it in other sectors that we know has certain potential increased growth. But remember, returns from those funds will still be able to come back to MIF. and then we can have MIF to say that it's a long-term strategic investment. So that is one big fundamental issue that we have with MIF.
And that was Executive Director of the Center for Extractives and Development Africa, Seda Samuel Bequin, bringing us to the end of Business Daily on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa. For more business stories, please check out our website 3news.com. Up next is Urban Blend with Black Rasta. Please stay.